Hello, welcome to Red Fox FX. This is a short clip of me showing you everything I used in this video. So I started by using Moldalized Platsil Gel 25 silicone, but you could also use Platsil Gel 10. I used some cups, sulfur-free clay, lighter fluid, some sculpting tools, a small brush, Vaseline, tongue depressors or some mixing sticks, some scales, blue grease paint, but this is an optional step, and most importantly the Bondo. For this video I'm just quickly sculpting some acne. Bondo is typically used to create shallow prosthetics such as acne, scars, cuts, birthmarks and things like that. So I'm just creating small balls of clay, pushing these into the board and then blending them out with my sculpting tools, and then also using the lighter fluid to get a nice smooth edge. I then created some rings with clay for the walls going around the sculpt. You don't need to make these super high as Bondo moulds are typically thin. The next thing to do is mix up your silicons. As you can see, I've labelled my mixing sticks with A and B, so I know exactly which part of silicone is in which cup. You'll also need to measure up equal parts of part A and part B so they cure properly. I'm then adding this into another cup, so I roughly have the same amount of part A and B being mixed together. I'm also adding the blue grease paint so I know when the two parts are fully combined. So once this is thoroughly mixed together, you're going to pour this onto the sculpt. I'm doing this from a height to prevent any air bubbles being trapped in the mould, but at the end I'm also going to tap the board onto the table to bring any trapped air to the surface. So I left this to set for a few hours and then demoulded them. So I carefully lifted the clay and silicone as one and then removed the wall around the mould. As you can see, the mould is super thin and this is perfect for Bondo, but it also means that you have to be careful when demoulding as they can rip really easily. So next is adding a release to the mould. I'm using Vaseline as my release, and you just want to put this all over the moulds. Next is adding the Bondo onto the moulds, and you want something to really push the Bondo into the mould and get any air bubbles out. It does look like I'm adding a lot of Bondo onto the mould, but this is what you want, as you then take something flat and you scrape any excess Bondo off. I'm using a mixing stick, but you can also use a credit card or a cake scraper as long as it's flat. Once the moulds are filled, you then just leave these for 24 hours to set and they'll go clear. So the next day I started to apply my Bondo transfers. These should be really sticky, so no adhesive is required, but you can always add a thin layer of Prozade if you're wanting. You push the mould into the skin and slowly peel it off and the Bondo should be stuck. Sometimes it's easier to peel the mould off from one side than the other, so you can always try both. And then you just remove any release with some IPA. To colour, I'm using alcohol activated paints, but you can also use grease paints, or you can pre-colour the Bondo before you put it into your moulds. As I've done acne, I'm going to go in with a red around the spots for irritation. I'm then going to go in with a light yellow on top of the spots. Sometimes the Bondo can be shiny, so a simple way of solving this is just adding some matting spray, but I didn't do this. And this is the final outcome. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to like and subscribe.